All right. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Schoner, making you hopefully what is a quick and brief and concise video, introducing us to week 1 of our History 102 Western Civ 2 online course. I'm going to try my very best to introduce the topic for this week. You'll notice I'm wearing my very millennial style outfit today, the flannel and beanie look. Don't judge me. I'm a relic of a different time, and I'm not a cool YouTuber, as evident from my video editing skills. I'm a dad in my 30s, so this is what you get. I'm sorry, this is what your tuition dollars are going towards. Anyway, for week 1, the topic that we're looking at is the Enlightenment. This is really where Western Civ 2 starts out, is with the Enlightenment. What is the Enlightenment? You know, if you want the kind of unofficial Professor Schoner's quick definition of what the Enlightenment was, it's the period right after a lot of important stuff just happened. We just had the colonization of the Americas, which expanded the size of the world that Europeans had understood the world to be at that point of time. Pretty important. We had the wars of religion after the Protestant Reformation, when Martin Luther leaves Catholicism and starts a whole bunch of big old conflicts because of that. And we also have, this is the period that follows the Renaissance, when humanism and the exploration of the human mind and the human figure and the human ideal start to become more and more mainstream in the eyes of many Westerners. So all that to say, the Enlightenment, in a lot of ways, really marks our entry into the modern world. This is a period where people start thinking much more broadly about the world that we live in. They start thinking about some of the big, deep questions concerning human capability, human rights. We start thinking about science and secularism as things that are okay to practice and to continue developing in Western society. By the time we get to the Enlightenment, people start asking big questions about, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be Christian? What does it mean to be a good moral person? And you start to have big wig thinkers, literally and metaphorically. Sometimes they wore big wigs. Think about, deep questions like, does God exist? How does one define God? Are people who live in the broader world, are they just as moral as we are, even though they don't have the Bible or a belief in Jesus Christ? Things that Europeans are starting to ask themselves more and more seriously. My point is, with all of this, is that you start to get what are called the philosophes, basically philosophers who meditate on these big ideas of like life and morality and religion. They also start to talk about, in the same vein, things like human rights, right? If people live in different parts of the world, they don't have the same culture, they don't have the same language, they don't have the same religion, they don't have the same technology, they don't have the same food, they don't have the same social practices or organizations, they don't have the same government. Are they just as deserving of being called people as we are in the West? Some people say yes, some people say no. And the people who say yes to that question, that, no matter where you find humanity around the world, people are deserving of certain basic dignities and rights, that idea starts to come to fruition in the Enlightenment. And that's a big freaking deal, right? The idea that all people deserve some kind of respect or basic rights, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from, no matter how much property they own, no matter if they worship the dominant religion or not, no matter if they put pineapple on pizza. These are really important questions that are still with us today. And Western civilization eventually is founded on this belief of human rights. That's where we get, the fundamental documents that form the basis of government for the United States, when that comes along. Or, as we read next week, in France, they have their own revolution, and it is arguably based on the concept of basic rights. So these are really big deals, and the Enlightenment is the wellspring from which these ideas start to come. So it's important to start with the Enlightenment in this class. It forms the basis of what we're going to be talking about for a lot of the rest of the semester. So, sorry, yeah, that I probably said way more than I meant to in that front, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what you're digging into. For this week, I would like you to read, you don't have to read it word for word, but I would like you to at least skim chapter 17, Europe during the Enlightenment. That's going to give you a really nice broad overview of the different types of ideas and the different people that are exploring these big concepts. We're going to drill down into a couple philosophers, these Enlightenment thinkers, in a couple of historical documents from your Perspectives from the Past book. The page numbers for those two documents are listed in your to-do list at the top of Module 1. We're going to be reading a guy named Bonasana who talks about crime and punishment. Spoiler alert with that. He's a guy who's interested in fairness. Fairness as like a basic bedrock principle of an ideal justice system. He's thinking about, do we have fairness in our justice systems in Europe? And if we don't, do we even have justice? These are big, important concepts that people start really drilling into. The other document is a guy named Rousseau, and John Green in the video will talk more about him in detail, but he comes up with this idea of, well, he doesn't come up with it, he actually follows on never mind. It's a big discussion that's happening with other people. He helps refine the concept of what's called the social contract. And the social contract is essentially, what do people owe each other in society? Specifically, what do the people owe government, and what does a government owe its people? And if a government sucks, do the people have the right and obligation to overthrow the government and set up a better one? This concept will lead to the American Revolution and to the French Revolution, which is our topic next week. So accompanying those two documents, there's going to be guided reading questions that are a file that you'll see on Canvas in Module 1. Those questions are there to help you get the main ideas out of the documents. In other words, you don't have to answer the questions and turn them in the guided reading questions. You don't have to turn those in for anything. Those are just there to help you think about, while you're reading these historical documents, what are some of the main ideas, right? And the questions will point you to the main ideas that I want you to start thinking about. All right, so we've got the textbook readings, we've got the Perspectives from the Past readings, which is those historical documents. And by the way, if you don't have that book yet, I have posted PDFs of the two historical documents just for this week only until you can get the book for that. So hopefully that's helpful if you don't have the Perspectives book. And there's also the Inquisitive quiz, which I've talked more about that in my introduction video, and Discussion Board 1. So there you have, if you are ever curious about what you're doing in a given week, look at that to-do list at the top of the module, and that will be your guiding star. Okay, I gotta go. My bread is in the oven. It's beeping. I don't know if you can hear that, but my oven is beeping. My bread is burning. I need to go. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or send me a message on Canvas during this week. If not, in the meantime, I hope you have a great week. And yeah, let me know if you need any help with anything. Yeah, gotta go eat my bread.